Such a perfect song for today's lesson. I love when Spirit lines it up so perfectly. Let's begin by saying our affirmation together. I am abundant. All that I need is forever within and around me. I name it and claim it today. Take a deep breath. So, there is a natural law of abundance which pervades the entire universe, but it will not flow through a doorway of belief in lack and limitation. Do you remember when your third grade teacher sat you down and told you all that in class? Oh, were you sick that day? Well, maybe you remember your priest or rabbi or minister saying this to you. Abundance is yours. Abundance has always been yours. It is the very essence and truth of your being now and forevermore. Yes. Did you miss that day at school too? Maybe you were told get a real job so you can earn a living. Right? Maybe you were told to get your head out of the clouds. Maybe you were told you have to work hard to make a living and to earn money. These are the things I remember being told. Those comments and directives come from one big, gigantic lie. And it's a pervasive lie that must be broken. And that lie is scarcity. Scarcity is a lie. And the mind doesn't even know what to do with that idea because immediately the mind's like, whoa. Look around. Look around at all the poverty, at how many people are starving or how many people can't get by. Look at all the struggling. How can you possibly tell me that scarcity is a lie? Well, I will. But let me ask you a few questions. Do you want to prosper or prosper more than what you already have? Do you want to experience a more generous world? And would you like the kids to be raised in this consciousness of sufficiency and abundance? Awesome, because that means it's up to you. It's up to you to cause that. It's up to us to create this new idea so profoundly and so deeply within ourselves that we become that which we know. And when we become that which we know and we attract that which we know, people will say, "Who are you? What happened?" And you will be able to share with them the truth of being, the joy of the abundance that is all around. And you will not be seduced when it appears to go away, when the tide rolls back out and that which you're counting on disappears. That doesn't shake the truth of your being. You just open up and welcome the next way that God's going to show up. You say to God, I look forward to seeing how you're going to take care of this. It's a true prayer. True prayer. I look forward to seeing how God is going to solve this. One of my favorites, I know many of our favorites, Reverend Edwene Gaines. She's a wonderful unity teacher, prosperity teacher. And she, many years ago, took on the personal responsibility to transform the prosperity consciousness in humanity. In fact, she said, I am personally committed to changing the prosperity consciousness of the planet. That's a pretty bold statement. And the way that she's doing that, or the way she did it and continues to do it, is that she first made her own self the vibration of that. She had within herself a lot of lack and limitation and poverty to be healed. She did the spiritual work morning, noon, and night, whatever it took for her to be transformed. And she travels the country going from spiritual community to spiritual community, declaring this truth, beating this drum. And we all love her and we all appreciate when she's here and we all feel uplifted and expanded. And then we can start to shrink back as we begin to use our human eyes again. Yes? So, you can heal the lie of scarcity. You truly can. And I think we can actually cause that for today. But we need to address 3 myths. There are 3 myths that keep us stuck in this lie. So myth number 1 is there's not enough. Oh, take a breath. Oh, this mantra. It has been the song people sing morning, noon, and night. It has been handed down to us from generations upon generations upon generations. There's not enough for everybody. I'm not enough. This can't be done. There's not enough. How many times do we say that and think that? It's so habitual. It's so habitual in our culture, in our society, that everyone just agrees. Very few stand up and go, don't curse yourself. Don't declare the untruth. It's so familiar in our DNA that we don't even know how much it's got us in its claws. You know, in the Bible, it is said, and as Jesus passed by, he saw a man who was blind from birth. And we could change it to poor. They were poor from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born poor? Next one. Jesus said, neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. This is huge. If you don't get how huge it is, I will try to help you, because if you get this, it's amazing. You see, what's also common in our culture is to do what I do often too. Look back, go, well, my mom and dad did this, and my grandmother did this, and my great-grandmother, and it runs in my family, and this is why. This is why I'm here. This is why I experience poverty and lack. And so we're looking for that person to blame. We're looking for the reason that this is happening. And this Bible, so amazingly progressive. It says, this is not the fault of the parents. This is not the fault of the person suffering from the false belief. This is, in fact, the works of God so that God can be made manifest. You are given a challenge you attract a challenge so that you yourself can prove God in your life. You are here to prove it. We can sit in the chairs and we can hear people talk about it all day long. But there comes a day when you have to decide, I've got to prove this for myself. And the way that happens is in the very experience in which you are residing. The very place we're experiencing lack and limitation, be it love, be it money, be it health, be it whatever. Wherever you are experiencing lack, you can stop analyzing it today, and you can make the decision, this is the place where I shall reveal God. This is the place where I shall reveal the abundance of my nature. My nature, my natural way of being. If you are not being your natural way, then something is off. But it's not your nature that is off. It's just the thinking that makes it so. And so this quote, this Bible verse so beautifully says, hey, whatever's going on, use it. Use it. And let it be the thing that turns you and presses you down until you pop out of it with a deeper knowing and a revelation of that truth. That's what we're here for. Otherwise, we're just making a bunch of noise. If we're just going to make a bunch of noise, then let's not bother. Let's sleep in. Right? So myth number 1, there's not enough. Can I get some water, please? Myth number 2, thank you. More is better. I kind of like this one, actually. So I found a way to twist it for you. Actually, I want to read a little bit from Lynn Twist's book, The Soul of Money. She says, more is better misguides us in a deeper way. It leads us to define ourselves by financial success and external achievements. We judge others based on what they have and how much they have, and miss the immeasurable inner gifts that they bring to life. All the great spiritual teachings tell us to look inside to find the wholeness we crave. But the scarcity chase allows no time or psychic space for that kind of introspection. In the pursuit of more, we overlook the fullness and completeness that are already within us, waiting to be discovered. That's the key. Our drive to enlarge our net worth turns us away from discovering and deepening our self-worth. So here's my take on it. More is more. More is more, and it's actually neutral. But if you're going for more to prove something, if you're going for more from this emptiness to the keeping up with the Joneses, if you're going with more for more, thinking that when you have more, something's going to be different for you. If you approach it from that standpoint, it's a bottomless pit. You'll never win. More will only cause more suffering because everything ultimately reveals the inception from which it comes. I hope you heard that. Everything, when it's revealed, holds within it the vibration from which it comes. So if the originating vibration of your creation is there's not enough here, I'm not worthy, so I'm going to overcompensate and prove, then you're going to land right back in I'm not worthy. It's all because that's the driving energy. And that is much of what is driving the more in our society and in our culture today. There is an overconsumption. We know this. We know this. And we all suffer from it in different ways. I'm thinking of my clothes closet, but I buy that with joy, so it doesn't count. So we have to really pause and look. And the point that's even more important is to just be focusing on what is already here, the inner qualities of being, of which there is a plenty and will never be depleted. The creativity of God that is within you is ageless. It's timeless. You're never going to run out. You will always have enough creativity. You will always have enough divine ideas within you. You will always have enough love to transform whatever it is you want to have transformed. You will always have enough wholeness within your being to make disease dissolve. You always will. There is a plenty inside of you. But we must begin focusing our attention and just noticing where is the more trapping me and getting me stuck, and what is driving underneath it. And if there's joy driving underneath it, and more is just something you enjoy, then by all means enjoy it. We don't want to swing the pendulum and make it the enemy. We just want to pay attention where it's coming from. You following me on that? Wonderful. And then the third myth, that's just the way it is. Oh, that struck a chord. Just how it goes. It's just who they are. It's how it happens. It's just the way it is. And as soon as you say that's just the way it is about yourself, about your friends, your family, your spouse, your lover, whenever you put them in the box, that's just the way it is, they can no longer appear new. There's no longer something new being revealed. And that's what happens to so many of our relationships. Where did the love go? This used to be fun. What happened? Well, you put them in a box. And you decided that that's all that they're capable of, and that's all that you are, and that's it. And that's it. I was told by someone last week about all the limitations that are here in Unity Church, if I may. And I sat and listened, and I was told that, I was told all about the ceilings here. And then at the end, thank God, I was conscious enough. I said, thank you so much for sharing. And here's the good news. My God is greater. My God is greater. Isn't that? Yeah, that deserves how great thou art. My God is greater, and that's what begins to crack open. And I get it. We all get stuck in thinking this is just the way it is. And it does get harder as we get older. It does, I know, believe me. But it doesn't make it more true. It just means maybe we need to just get more God. Whatever limitation, Wherever you're stuck thinking that's just the way it is, there is something greater. There is. I want to tell you a story. A story about Bangladesh. 130 million people on a piece of land about the size of Iowa. 130 million. It was once a lush tropical rainforest, but it was raped and pillaged, and war came in and just depleted it. In late 1970s, Bangladesh was listed as the second poorest country in the world in the 1970s. And they started getting lots of attention. And people started giving them supplies and food and water. But what was crazy is that the more help they got, the poorer they got. They had to play poor to get more. So they were trapped, and the more they got, the less empowered they became. Well, the Hunger Project, which is created by a woman named Lynn Twist, the Soul of Money book, they came into Bangladesh and they started doing workshops in the city, wherever they could be, wherever people would gather. And these workshops were about meditation and visioning and helping their mind begin opening up for different possibilities. Well, this one man got so inspired, and he pulled together 6 of his friends, and he said, we are going to change this. We are going to make a difference. And they gathered up $750, which was everything that this little starving people could create. And the government gave them, I want to know the exact number. Well, they gave them a lot of property. Something like that. Let's say 17 acres, I don't know. They gave them some property. And they said 600 people showed up. And they started creating a road where there was no road because all of it had become overgrown with this prickly berry brush. And no one could get around it, or they just took over their land. And when the government saw what they were doing, they gave them 100 more acres. And the people gathered and they cleared that brush, and they cleared that brush, and they worked with just meager tools, but willing hands and many hands. And you know what they discovered under the brush? A lake, a huge lake filled with fish, filled with life. It had been completely covered up. And as they cleared that out, people learned to fish and they learned to farm, and they brought themselves back to life. They brought themselves up by their own worth, awakening inside themselves. Isn't that amazing? I love that story because we too can look out on our life and go, well, nothing but thorns and poison berries. There's always a lake underneath there. There's always sufficiency this is the deal, right where they were living, right underneath their feet. They just didn't even have they had lost all ability to explore and to discover until the Hunger Project came in and they caught the spark. And suddenly that which was always there was revealed. That's true for your life. I absolutely guarantee it. Wherever you are saying that's just the way it is, I guarantee you, right where you are, nowhere to go, no place like home, right here is where the solution, the revelation, the divine idea, whatever it is, the person, the helping hand, it is right here. But you must first wake up and become aware, oh my God, I've been trapped and that's just the way it is. And then you go apologize to all the people you've been keeping down. I'm so sorry, I've been thinking you're just a stupid fool. It's my fault. I'm kidding. Oh, I thought that would go over better. Oh well. I take responsibility for the way you are being created in my world, is my point. You are creating people as limited in your world. You really are, or you're participating in it. They're willingly playing their role. But when one person gives up the game is over. So when you are willing to say, no, this is not just the way it is. There's always more. My God is greater. Say that. My God is greater. This is what begins to crack you open. And you have to be deeply interested. And like these 7 people and the whole village who gathered around them, they had to do some work. They had to start clearing away the brush. You might have to start clearing away the gunk in your mind. You might have to do some plowing of the fields that have gone unkept in your mind. But underneath that is fertile soil. And that is ageless, that is timeless, that is eternal. There is enough of that. One of our greatest sicknesses in our society now, money is our God. That's it, as a collective. Might not be yours individually. But as I watch things on the news, it's always interesting to me. They go to, well, the economy's good, therefore. So it's like one measuring place. Well, if the money's good, then we're fine. If the money's working and people are making money, then everything else is okay. And it's such a narrow view of who we can be and what's possible for us. But that's not pointing out any individual. That's just a collective agreement in society that money's going to solve things. If money could solve things, it would have by now. It can create temporary relief. It can definitely be used for good. But the chronic problem underneath isn't going away. And so we bring that to ourselves and we say, money is neutral. It is actually just paper. It's just, if you're holding money, it's completely neutral. But what does it become? And this is where it gets fascinating. What it becomes is exactly what you believe about it. Imagine having a $100 bill and you're passing it over to someone, and inside of that, what you're literally passing them is your whole story about it. That's what's coming and going inside of this thing called money, is your beliefs. So it's completely neutral, and what you think about it is what you experience about it. And it's an important place to focus, although many people start to kick and squirm. It's an important place to focus because it's such a primary commodity of exchange. And because it's so prevalent, and because it has so many people seduced, we work where the biggest pain is. And so you may not have stuff going around that, and good for you. Good for you. But every one of us could pause and at least say, what story am I making up about this? Am I believing that if I had more of this, then this would work? Am I believing then I would be happy? Am I believing that it's my last one? Am I believing there's not enough? Those things begin to get absorbed inside this thing called money, and they become to be your experience, and then that is what you're exchanging all day long. Imagine instead saying, this is God in motion. This is love in action. Every time I exchange money, it's love flowing from me and expanding in the world. And every time money comes to me, it's the universe saying, I am loved. And then you begin rewriting the story, and then you begin to receive more and share more, and you discover again for yourself the abundant nature of your being. There is no limit. Prosperity really is your birthright. And again, prosperity is a holistic experience of being, where your relationships are working, where your creativity is flourishing, where you have all the money you need, where you feel healthy and happy. These are ways to define this one word called prosperity. And that leads me into asking you to please consider joining me for the prosperity class, which begins this coming Thursday. Many of you have taken the class in the winter with me, and it was transformational, yes? Some of you, yes? It's a wonderful class, only 6 weeks. And we use Edwin Gaines' book, 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. It is really a deep dive into freedom and joy and abundance. And I love teaching it. It's creative, it's easy, it's fun. So if you're interested in having some healing in your mind from the 3 myths, that there's not enough, that more is better, or that's just the way it is, if you'd love to become free of that, consider joining me on Thursday, yes? Thank you. All right, let's move into prayer. Everyone take a nice deep breath. Open your hands. I'd like to ask our prayer chaplains and prayer chaplains in training, if it's comfortable for you and our licensed unity teachers, please stand and hold the space. Take a moment and look around and see these wonderful people who have studied for a good amount of time to establish their consciousness in the abundance of God, so that when you come and ask for prayer, they got you. And I stand on their shoulders today as I allow this prayer to speak through me.
I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light.
Keep breathing, deep breaths. And I take this moment to just place my attention upon the infinite nature of God, the abundant being. And I know that I am that. I am the sufficiency of God. And in my consciousness and in my mind and in my spirit is a plenty, more than a plenty. It is the infinite nature of being. Sufficiency is in me, in my mind, in my heart. And as I place my attention upon it, as this prayer, it begins to flow and open wider and wider and wider. And as this is true for me, this is true for each one of us here. We are the sufficiency and the abundance and the infinite goodness of God itself. Yes? Yes. This is who and what we are. This is who and what we always have been. This is who and what we always will be. So why are we playing any other game? In this moment, we deny any and all beliefs in not enoughness. We surrender that lie right now, letting it go down the river and flow and dissolve into the nothingness from which it came. It has no power here because it is not the truth. The truth, capital T, is God's sufficiency. And in God, I am more than enough. We are more than enough. And in this prayer, we also surrender any part of us that believes more is better, is going to cause something out there in the world to change. And we know that as we let that lie go, that myth go, that the abundance easily reveals itself, and we see the bounty of flowers, the bounty of nature, the bounty of smiles, the bounty of food. There's so much good here, and there will always be enough. Always, always, always. And finally, we place on the altar of the Holy Spirit this belief that that's just the way it is. Oh, dear God, Holy Spirit, swoop into our minds and hearts and dislodge that horrible idea that blocks us and other people from shining, from solving, from revealing the love. That lie has caused more suffering. Holy Spirit, we see it. We are aware and we let go. Please reveal in us God's idea of my life, God's idea of my relationships, God's idea of my work in the world, God's idea of what I'm here to do and be, God's idea. Say yes.
I am divinity defined. I am.
Take a breath.
On the inside.
Keep breathing deep.
I am a star, a piece of it all.
Yes.
I am light. I am light.
Sing along.
I am light. I am light.
Believe it. Stretch it out. Come on.
I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light.
Keep it down, soft. I am light. I am light. Sing it again. I am light. I am light. Just them. Sing. One more. It's beautiful. Take a deep breath. Oh, so grateful for the fulfillment of this prayer, the expansion of consciousness, and the revelation of truth. We are blessed. It is so good, and so it is. Amen.